Welcome to the Today in History channel. In today's video we will talk about the day, June 5, 1981, discovery of HIV. HIV, or human immunodeficiency virus, is a microorganism that attacks the human immune system, weakening it and making it vulnerable to a series of infections, some of them deadly. The HIV/AIDS virus parasites lymphocytes in the human body, destroying them or preventing them from performing their function correctly. Over time, the virus's action on the immune system decreases its effectiveness, and a series of symptoms of a disease called acquired immunodeficiency syndrome, AIDS, begins to manifest. HIV infection is classified into three categories, depending on the degree of progression of the symptoms. Category A, affected by the primary stage of the disease. Category B, present or had symptoms related to HIV infection different from Category C, with symptoms such as fever below 38.5 degrees Celsius, diarrhea, lasting more than a month, and herpes zoster, more than one episode, or an episode with infection of more than one dermatome and Category C, with bacterial infections, tuberculosis or viral infections, herpes, bronchitis, esophagitis, etc. Chronic processes, such as bronchitis or pneumonia, processes associated with HIV or tumoral processes, such as Kaposi's sarcoma, Burkitt's lymphoma, or non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. Once the first stage of infection has been overcome, the organism undergoes a drastic reduction of lymphocytes, which makes the defenses weaken, developing bacterial, viral and other types of infections, with HIV destroying the microorganisms responsible for protecting the organism. In the 1980s, several cases of pneumonia and Kaposi's sarcoma were detected with other chronic pathologies in patients who were generally homosexual, who had a similar deficiency in one type of blood cell. In 1981, HIV was isolated, and the disease soon began to be known as pink plague, associating the appearance of pink patches on the skin with the homosexual tendency of most of the first cases. In 1984, the disease began to be considered an epidemic, based on a study carried out with a group of infected people who had had common partners, setting standards that proved this. The disease was then called acquired immunodeficiency syndrome, AIDS. That same year, after isolating HIV and conducting further studies, two French scientists were able to develop an antibody that identified those infected among risk groups. In 2008, they would receive the Nobel Prize for Medicine. In the second half of the 1980s, social isolation of those infected took place, including from family and friends, fundamentally for fear of contracting the virus, and as a result of the lack of knowledge of the forms of contagion, which created a great social alarm. By focusing attention on the homosexual community, AIDS has spread out of control among heterosexuals, especially in Africa, Asia, and Eastern Europe. Currently, antiretroviral treatments contribute to consider it a chronic disease, although its high cost excludes a large part of the population. Did you like the video? In the description you will find the blog link with the full article. Give an incentive by subscribing to the channel, liking, commenting, and sharing with your friends. Hugs. Until the next.